And we are live.
What's up, everybody?
Welcome back, everyone, to 305 Takes. It is Monday. Me and Miles are here to talk to you guys about Dolphins football, fantasy football, our status on E2G, E2G League, the stars and busts of this week in fantasy, and maybe some guys you might want to go after for in trades or waiver wire pickups if they're available in your league. And we can't wait to do it because we're going to start off the show with the Vikings versus Dolphins reaction. And
What
Miles,
do
I
you
mean,
think
I
of
don't know
this?
how you feel, but I would say this in terms of like the Dolphins standpoint, I actually thought they played a much better game than I anticipated. A much
Yeah,
better game.
and especially considering now that this is the third week in a row since that Bengals game that there's
Yeah.
been injury to the guy that started the game at quarterback.
Yeah.
I've never seen a situation like this for the
It's a
Dolphins.
rotating door.
Bro, it's honestly cursed at this point. So, I mean, I'm happy that they still fought back, even with, Skylar not being able to finish the game. But that was such a weird football game. Like, what a dumb football game. And I mean, I guess you can say it was positive that they were able to shut down Jettas for such a large portion of the game until,
Yeah.
he broke one for 50 and then finished the game over 100. And
Hey
then
man, Cook. Cook
yeah,
was shut down.
yeah, until he hit that long run after the turnover, and then you just look at the game and it's like, all right, we lose Nick Needham as well. Like we have no corners, we have absolutely
And
zero
Nagabi.
corners. And yeah, literally, Ignagby is out there, and I'm like, oh god, he's getting cooked by Thielen. It's like, bro, Thielen is not that good anymore, bro. Like, how are you getting cooked by him? So it was just a weird football game. And then, I mean, they do fight back, and the encouraging thing is that you get 100 plus from both Waddle and Hill. Like
Yeah.
if you're telling me that going into the game that Skyler is going to be the starting quarterback and that Hill's going to finish with 150 plus and Waddle will finish with 100 plus, I'm like, all right, we definitely have a shot then. Like it's not inconceivable that we win the game. But I really think the biggest takeaway from this is that Kirk Cousins is exactly who we thought he was.
Yeah. I mean,
Because
to
if
me,
you're a good quarterback, and especially you're about to be 5-1 go after this game or 4-1 going after this game, you should win this 30-0. Like this should not have been any type of sweat. Like no question about it. Like 30-10 if
I
you're an
thought
elite quarterback.
I thought going to halftime the score should be if like the Vikings are who we thought they were, it would be 21-3 going into
Yeah,
halftime.
like
I
something
was
like
like,
okay, they don't even have to really worry about the second half.
yeah, and they'll just run the ball the whole second half.
But no, no, because
But
Cousins
no,
is
it
exactly
was
who we
kept
thought he was.
close. But I did like what I saw from Xavier after so many weeks where it showed the injury was there. So I was like, all right, at least with Justin Jefferson, he did do a very good job.
He was shutting him down for a while, man.
So I was like, hey, you did good. It was just eventually the Vikings drew a place where Justin was just so wide open, like it was not even funny. Like it was bad,
Yeah,
and he was able to get those big plays. So credit to the Vikings on that part. I do believe because they can make some creative plays. I just believe they choose only when it's like, okay, we're dead for broke.
you
No, dude,
need
it's
it.
at the beginning.
Yeah, they're like no, they don't. They only like playing when there's pressure. They're like,
Yes.
it's not fun yet. It's not fun.
Well,
We're still in Minnesota.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, but I do think there are some positive notes because right now, if things keep going the way they are, Tua will play on Sunday
Oof.
against the Steelers.
I,
So
I'm sketched that's even going to be a thing, especially because the game is Sunday night. So like
yeah,
hypothetically, if he does come back, that means that Sunday night that is now Al Michaels or Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth are going to have to discuss what happened on Thursday with Tua. I'm very skeptical that it does happen that he does play, and I know that based off of how things ended last week before this game. If there were more days, he probably would have been able to be cleared before this game. So
yeah.
now with the extra days going into this week, all right, maybe, but I don't know. Optically, I feel like they might hold him out another game just because it is the Sunday night game and it's going to be a whole referendum. But the thing is, if Skyler is legitimately hurt to the point where he couldn't even come back into the game,
Yeah.
Teddy comes in that first possession. He awkwardly slides down and gets just smacked right in the face mask. And I'm like, dude, we're going to have a punter at quarterback. Like, what is going to go on today? Like, I have no. They're dangerously close to being cursed at the quarterback position this year.
Yeah, honestly, I would just say that just the injury bug in general, man. Because
Yeah,
there's been so many injuries to them. Not
Armstead
only
is a huge one. Byron is not playing. Needham, who's good, gets hurt. It's like, bro, it's never gonna end.
yeah, it just feels like, man, you want them to catch a break, but it's also coming. It's like, man, this is tough. And then Tyreek Hill to be able to play after last Sunday being in a walking boot, I felt that was a huge plus. I thought Hughes personally was gonna not play in this game, and I was like, all right, Jalen Waddle will be the one.
Yeah,
See what they do, and that way they give at least Tyreek extra week of rest and
but
maybe recovery,
and still balled out.
and
That's
he still
crazy.
balled out, which
Yeah.
is what's crazy. So I was like, hey, they both showed up, and the defense, considering all the injuries they had to do what they did to the Vikings, I actually thought, hey, this is a positive note. Hopefully, they can at least continue their momentum going into Sunday night against the Steelers, because now Kenny Pickett's in concussion protocol, I believe, and then right now it would be on track for Mitch Trubisky to start.
Yeah, and I mean, the Steelers are coming off,
A big
really good
win.
vibes, a big win at home. I'm assuming that because we've seen games before where it's a Steelers road game and those terrible towels are flooded the home team stadium. I'm assuming the Steelers fans are going to travel well
Yeah.
down to this game, and it's a Sunday night game. It didn't get flexed out, which I thought there was a strong possibility it was because you're probably looking. I would
If it
say
was
at least
Tyler
one.
Thompson against Mitchell Trubisky, I would have said, okay, guys, I don't blame you if you flex this game out. One, because I think everyone would agree.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's at least a 70, maybe 75% chance that one, maybe two of these teams are not starting their normal starting quarterback.
Or at least the quarterback they want to start.
Yeah, so I I was surprised that they kept that one in at Sunday night, but it does provide a little bit of an opportunity for the Dolphins to get right because the Steelers, for as impressive as that victory was, I'm sure we'll touch on the Bucks a little bit later, but it was it wasn't like they did anything overpowering in that game. I mean, Claypool made some catches, but with the way the Dolphins secondary was looking, I like the matchup. It should be a victory. It should be a victory for them, especially at home. I get that they're not 100% healthy, but neither are the Steelers. They don't have their best defensive player. Minka didn't play this previous week, so we'll see what his status is coming into the game against Miami. But it's definitely a game on paper that they should win, and they kind of need it just to get their season, feeling right again and get back into the victory column.
Yeah, because ever since the Bengals game, the Dolphins have just not looked good, and the record will even say it. Right now, the Dolphins are 500. 500. Yeah, they're 3-3. They won the first 3 weeks, lost the last three.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be a game. How you said, if they win this game, they could get right back on track, and who knows, maybe this leads to a playoff push where they are maybe potentially the 7 4 to 6 seed in the wild card.
Because the schedule does ease up starting now, but the thing is, the Patriots are starting to look better. You got to play the Bills.
Zappy has looked good.
Yeah, the Bills you got to play again in Buffalo. The Jets, okay, you get them to come down here this time, but still, you still have three division matchups left, and the rest of the teams have looked better. I mean, the Jets just went into Green Bay and beat the Packers.
They looked good these past couple of weeks. I can't say anything bad about the Jets. Like overall, it's like, hey, Zach Wilson. I mean, I felt like he's done nothing in order for them to lose. And the defense, bro, Sauce Gardner, he's living up to that draft pick. Being the
Yeah,
fourth overall pick in the draft, he's living up to it.
they have a lot of talent on that team.
Yeah.
What's the kid that they drafted from Quentin Williams? He was dominant against the Jets. I mean, against the Packers this weekend.
Yeah.
So they're just stacked. That offense, I like their wide receiver group. Wilson or Moore seemed to have more chemistry with Flacco, but then Corey Davis had an all right game yesterday against the Packers with Wilson back there. So I do like the weapons that they have. It's not a team that does not have talent.
Yeah. I mean, if they get it going consistently, I do believe they can be good, but we'll see. But overall, I would say this Vikings Dolphins game, for the Dolphins' sake, obviously it was a loss, but there was a moral victory in a sense because it's like, all right, we're on pace to get the season back on track now.
And they should
And
fight, which you have to be. If even with a rookie head coach, like that could have been a game that went south very easily, and you're never really realistically in it. Which I mean,
yep.
I don't think they were actually realistically in it, but at least they hung around with it and kept it close.
That's right. But the good amount of time on that. Now let's talk about some fantasy football update. So, Miles, I think we got to celebrate this week because something did happen in our league.
I know exactly what happened.
What?
Moises got a W.
Yeah, and it's against me, bro.
Yeah, I did peep that, but he actually put up.
He put up the most points this week.
Yeah, he put up a really good performance.
Yeah, like I can't even be mad. I was the only bad thing was his defense, which was the Bucks. They gave him 4 points, and Kyler Murray who gave him 14. Outside of that, Fournette gave him 22. Jamar Chase 32 points. Mark Andrews gave him a good 24 points. Gabe Davis the shock 16 points.
And a ton.
His kicker 14 points. So I was like, and it's not like I didn't give him a good run.
Yeah, you put it too.
Dalvin Cook, 15 points. Ramondre Stevenson, 25. Jefferson, 17. AJ, 17. Taysom Hill gave me a good 5 points. Evans, bro, Mike Evans honestly made me mad yesterday.
He was
a dud.
Yeah.
The Eagles, I really thought they were going to give me more points with the way the first half looked.
Yeah.
But they gave me 7 points, so I'm not too mad at that. Tucker gave me 7 points. We'll talk about the Ravens a little bit later. And then my punter, I thought my punter would have more punts in the game, but Dallas said no.
No. We're just going to take over.
So I was like, all right, there was way too much to go swing it, so I'm not too mad about it. But if it looked, I've scored the third most points this week, and I'm right behind you in terms of points. So I was like, all right, I scored the third most points this week, and I lost. So I'm not too mad.
I need Nick to beat Alex. Nick has Herbert, and he's down 9 points, but
Alex has Mike Williams and Austin Eckler.
Oh, I didn't even see the Mike Williams. I only saw Eckler. Never mind. That's not happening. I was trying to get back to sole possession of first in our side of the division. I went against JP this week. Pretty easy dub, but the projections were creeping me out because pretty much all of my guys except for Burrow were playing in the 4 o'clock window. So and Hill. So yeah. I was like, whoa, if I might have like 10 points going into 4 o'clock. But it was just such a weird week of football this week. Like,
bro, there was a lot of like bad football, but then it ended with good football.
The Jets defense, if you had them in any of your leagues, like that legit swung games.
Mm-hmm.
The Jets defense legit swung games, and there was a lot of guys that just, and I feel like this is going to happen, especially as we have multiple teams on bye weeks. And next week coming up is a huge bye week, as I believe the Eagles and the Vikings, just off the top of my dome. I know we're on a bye week, and I think there's a couple other teams, but it's just, I think we're going to start, especially in the leagues where you have a lot of teams. We're going to definitely start seeing random people get inserted into lineups. I know Kenneth Walker was a big addition for anybody that had him. If you've been listening to any of the 305 takes, I've been telling us a little bit of my sleeper guy. I saw a little Javonte Williams.
No, I would tell people that Myles tried to trade him in week 1. He's like, hey, do you want Kenneth Walker? Because it auto-picked for me.
But I also said I like him as my Javonte Williams from last year. But I just didn't know when it was going to happen. So that's the thing. And it took an injury for it to happen too. So I needed to see that. But we for fantasy, yeah, it was just a weird week. And, I think it's going to be very important to pay attention to both injury reports as we move on for the rest of the season and your waiver wire, knowing exactly who's available so that if you do get a notification of, like a guy like Hollywood Brown going out and potentially being out for the rest of the season.
Big loss for Alex.
If there's a guy like Rondell Moore out there, he got a bunch of targets already in a game where Hollywood Brown was playing in. And
I don't know. You think Robbie Anderson maybe steals any targets?
No. I can't believe they were able to trade him so quickly. I thought he was going to be a guy that was just straight up released after what happened during that.
Yeah, Akers might be something a player some people might want to go after for, because most likely it looks like now he'll be traded.
Yeah, he's not playing for the Rams again, but I mean, is he even RB2 for?
I don't even think he's a 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I honestly, and the crazy part is, I watched just a little bit of that Rams game because, I mean, there was really no reason to watch it. Stafford was Bunzino again until midway through the third quarter. And I mean, if the Panthers knew how to play 4 quarters of football, they could have run away with that game in the first quarter, but
Yep.
they're just incapable of that. And they ended the game with a guy named Jacob Eason at quarterback, which is like, how many quarterbacks do they have? Like they're just like, yo, we only watch college football in 2019. We're gonna take the former Washington quarterback. We're gonna take Sam Howell. We're gonna take what's the other
Watch them get Jake Fromm.
Jake Fromm. They got PJ Walker still. They got Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. Like what are they actually doing over there? And yeah, that has potential to be one of the worst football teams that we see all season because if Robbie Anderson already hated the team that much to get kicked off the sideline and they were able to trade him less than 12 hours later, I think a lot of other guys can make a big enough stink to get out of there. I mean, we saw a situation like that with the Dolphins with Minka. And Minka was like,
Yep.
oh, all right, I'm not a loser. Y'all might want to lose, but I'm not a loser. Get me out of here.
And it worked out for the Dolphins because those it was a first round pick they got, but it still worked out in the end. But overall, I would say for fantasy football, there are some guys out there you could even look at to get. I mean,
I love the Thornton kid.
yeah,
I love the
Thornton pickup. I believe you can get something value for him. And for anyone who I'm pretty sure he's in most leagues, but this is a person who was dropped in our league, but now ever since he was announced as starter, he's still available in 7% of leagues. Ramondre Stevenson.
Bro, I don't get how that's possible. Like, where are these 7% leagues? Like, I
It's
don't know.
probably like those 4-team leagues.
It has to be because I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because I just play in leagues that are too deep. But I always read these ESPN articles and they're like available in 52% of leagues. Go to look it up. And I
Gone.
gotta trade for him. I got to trade for him. I'm like, bro, where are these leagues? Like, how is he available in majority of leagues and I can't find him?
Well, this one
And
is
these would be
7%.
like backups too. And I'm like, damn, bro.
Yeah, and well, right now it's 7% because he's rostered on 94%, almost 94% now.
And he's good. Like,
Yeah, no,
legit
he's good, but also the person who's in front of him, Damian Harris, is good too. So I'm not really too mad about that. He's good. Anyone, like Myles said, Kenneth Walker, someone to go after for.
Yeah, I'm good on anybody on the Packers for the rest of the season. So honestly, I wouldn't mind selling high. If you want to zag, the only person I would zag with is Lazard because he's been putting up good target numbers the last 2 weeks, and Watson's been out, and they lost Cobb in this game. So
Yeah.
Lazard, I believe, is now. I don't know if Tanyan got there at the same time as him or Lazard got there a little bit before.
Probably like maybe around I think Tanyan probably got later or maybe the same time. But that's why I really loved Alan Lazard going into this year. But after like week 1, I was like, oh, it says he's
He didn't
injured.
even play week 1, yeah.
Yeah, and then week 2, they were like, oh, most likely he's not even going to play. Then he plays. And I was like, okay, people. Like, I dropped this guy thinking, I was like, all right, he's going to get like 1,000 yards, maybe 10 touchdowns. Like, he would be someone I'm like, hey, this could be a fantasy winner. Like, this guy can win me a league.
Yeah, but negative. That's not what's going to happen. And it's been a little bit disappointing. I mean, that whole team has been disappointing, if we're being honest with it. And then other guys I was looking at to maybe possibly add in the 12-team league, there's not too much. I'm going to look very long and hard at Thornton. I know some people are going to probably go after Kenyon Drake after he put up over 100 yards against the Giants. I'm just not exactly sure what the injury situation really is in Baltimore. I know Justice Hill and Dobbins were inactive for that game, so that did lead to the opportunity for Drake. So, it really depends on what the health status is for the rest of those guys. So that's possibly someone that you could look at. I keep saying Thornton, but yeah, I think Thornton's going to be the guy that I'm probably going to use my waiver spot on. So this was probably all the reports coming out of New England's camp, even with the offense being super weird throughout the preseason. A lot of the New England reporters were saying this Thornton kid is absolutely tearing up the defense, and he's their best player. Forget Devontae Parker on offense. and then he gets injured right before, I think, like week 2 of the preseason.
Yeah.
He got injured.
Yeah, he got injured pretty early, but that's also because he's very slim. That's the thing.
Yeah, he's like a track guy, so he doesn't have the biggest frame, so he
But
comes
they
back.
were able to be creative in getting him the football.
Yeah, and he comes back last week. He gets 2 receptions on 3 targets last week, only 7 yards. So whatever, working his way back in. But this week he goes 5 targets, 4 receptions, 37 yards, a receiving touchdown, and then they gave him 3 rushing attempts for 16 yards and a touchdown. So I mean, just based on that and the fact that it's his second week back, it looks like the Patriots are going to do really concerning and job to get him the ball. Like they want to put the ball in his hands, and we mentioned that he's kind of a track guy, so it makes sense to want to get him the ball in his hands in open space. So that's a guy that I like. I know it's only 1 week worth of production, and he didn't put up the biggest amount of yards, but they try to get him the ball a lot. So I do like that.
We have a question here from someone on YouTube. Is James Conner returning? If so, I just release Eno. Also, I have Hollywood. I'm stuck with him since he's injured for possibly more than a month. Just for a quick question, honestly, I would say if you want a running back, maybe someone you could get for cheap, I'm going to say maybe Chase Edmonds, because when Tua was at starting quarterback, he did have a lot of production as compared to Raheem Mostert. So I would say Chase Edmonds is maybe someone you could get for really cheap. And then I would probably say pick up Thornton from the Patriots to replace Hollywood, because from what the reports are, and most likely he will be out for the rest of the year, like Myles said, about the production he was getting and the reports that are coming out of Patriots camp. So I would say those are probably 2 things I would go with. I mean, if you have the ammo to get Chase Edmonds, I say do it. Because, I mean, we've seen all Dolphins game. When Tua's on the field, Chase Edmonds actually he produces.
Yeah. Honestly, the person, especially if I had Hollywood, the one like I would actually be targeting would be Rondell, because I think Rondell Moore just becomes the new Hollywood Brown, even though
But
DeAndre
Hopkins is coming back.
Yeah, even with Hopkins coming back this week, I think he'll be the underneath short guy for the Cardinals offense as they move forward. I would personally stay away from Eno. I don't even think Connor
Yeah,
was doing.
he just released him.
So even with Connor staying out, I would just stay away from the Cardinals running back situation as it is. I don't think they're going to be ahead in many games to have a lead where they're just pounding the ball. And even like a game like this week, for example, they were down in the red zone and they weren't giving the running backs any chances. So I would stay away from the Cardinals running game. But other receivers maybe to target, maybe Thornton. I mean, I love Pittman. I know it's going to take a lot to trade for him, so I don't know if you have anything stored up that you could possibly trade, maybe a 3-for-1 or a 2-for-1 to get Pittman to replace Brown. But I love Pittman. I think he's going to be a beast and like a really, really solid wide receiver where you just put him in your lineup but don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah, because Matt Ryan's going to throw him the ball.
Yeah.
But let's get back to updates and update everyone on our E2G league. So,
bro, I didn't know Buddy was 0-5 in this league. What is going on there?
Yeah, I didn't know either.
Buddy.
The good thing for us is that we're not out of it yet. The score is 162, 131.
We snapped, bro.
And we actually got a lot of production from a lot of players.
31 from Hill, 24 from Gesicki.
Yep, and we also got some production from Travis Etienne, who gave us 12 points. I'm glad I didn't put Isaiah McKenzie in the starting lineup. Barrios, I mean, I might have to put him in eventually.
Yeah, just because that jet sweep, man.
But we got how many guys? I think we have 4 people left to play. And if the projections are right, we win 165 to 162.4, which is what our opponent is left with.
We need an interception in the worst way in this game.
But we do have Pat Surtain to second.
We got the 3 guys most likely.
Derwin James. So defensively, we got stars. We got stars.
Need an interception in the worst way in this Monday night game.
And then if Jared Jeudy, maybe if he could get a touchdown, 6 catches for 100 yards, that would definitely help us a lot.
But he's been so bad this year.
Well, at this point, I can't even blame him, bro. His quarterback has not helped him out
That's
at
what I'm
all.
saying. I think it's more likely that we get multiple interceptions from one of our defensive guys than Judy snapping off tonight.
I mean, if they can, hey, that would help us out a lot.
That would be big if we could move to 300, go to 3-3. I hate this league, and all I kept looking at, I kept seeing Gesicki gritty and the stupid end zone, and I'm still down in fantasy, even with him putting 24 points up. I'm like, how is this possible? I hate this league, man.
Well, I mean, no, it's our first time playing with all defensive players, so it really has been a test for us because we don't know exactly on defensive players. Okay, who could really swing?
And who's going to
Okay,
put up points? That's
and
the
who?
thing.
But right now, from the way it looks
Even
like,
our linebackers are fire.
linebackers are what you need.
The D tackles suck. Like there's no even point of rostering them.
Yeah, unless I mean,
Because even Davis gets a sack yesterday and 2 tackles, 1.75.
Trey Hendrickson got us 5 points, so I'm not mad with
Yeah,
that.
and I don't even know what Rousseau did to get 3. He defended he blocked a pass, but I mean, yeah, the linebackers seem to be the flex because you get 6.5, 7.75, 10.75. So, and then even Holland 5 tackles, only 5 points. So I feel
Yeah,
like
a point for each tackle.
yeah, he plays safety, dude. I need a batted pass every now and then.
What did hurt us was Greg Joseph this week. Greg Joseph did not help us out whatsoever.
Yeah, Greg Joseph and James Cook just not being anything special right now is
At
really
this point, Devin Singletary's taking it all, and from what we know, who knows if Christian McCaffrey ends up a Buffalo Bill?
yeah, yeah. I mean, if they trade McCaffrey, wow.
If they trade him to the Buffalo Bills, I'll just be like, okay, like, all right. At this point, just trade Saquon to the Kansas City Chiefs.
I mean, imagine Saquon gets traded. Saquon is all the way
But
back.
that's not happening. Ryan Dable is not going to trade Saquon at this point.
Bro, Saquon is all the way back, dude. All
Yeah.
the way back. Like, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, oof, oof. And
So
for fantasy, yeah, like I said, I love the Thornton kid. Rondale Moore, I was high on. I watched a lot of that game. He got a lot of targets. And then, I mean, I really do like Pittman. I really, dude. There's a case that Matt Ryan was the best. He performed the best out of all the winning quarterbacks we had yesterday.
yeah, no, Matt Ryan is definitely going to be one of the stars we talk about in our next topic. But first, we got to take a quick break so we could give a shout out to our sponsor, E2G Sports. For anyone that doesn't know E2G Sports, this is the company that has been the presenting sponsor for this podcast. They handle all the stuff behind the scenes with helping us publish this to YouTube and more. If you guys want to check out for any sports news that are not football and you're more interested in NBA, MLB, NHL, any sort of news, do not be afraid to visit their website, e2gsports.com, or visit their YouTube channel to see other podcasts that talk about other various sports, just like ours. It's a great company. We joined not too long ago, and we are very excited that they brought us in, and we've been having a lot of fun doing this. And yeah, I would say thank you a lot to E2G Sports. They made our lives a lot easier in terms of helping us put this on YouTube. So now we're going to transition back into fantasy football and talk about stars of the week. And in terms of fantasy, I mean, I got to go with one star mainly. I got to go Leonard Fournette as a star. He's a star for me this week.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the only guy that really produced on that Bucks team.
Yeah. I mean, for a team that did pretty bad, him and Ramondre Stevenson in terms of running backs, those are my stars this week. The only reason I didn't give the nod to Kenneth Walker because he didn't end up with 20. He ended up at 19 solid, while the other two did give 22 and more.
Yeah, Ramondre is definitely a star of the week for me. I mean, I just don't even get it with this guy anymore. But Geno Smith, star for me, star for me.
He didn't have the best game statistically,
But
but
just not making
he did put up points. He put
and
up
just not
points.
making any mistakes, using his legs, so you're getting extra rushing yards there. You spreading the ball out, so you're getting yards all over the place. Geno Smith is definitely a star for me. And then, really, the number one star for me is the Jets defense. because so I have another league where I am 5-0 in this league right now. Right now, with one player left for my opponent, which is Gerald Everett, I am up 158, 140. So that's
Yep.
about 18 point lead, right?
Yep.
This the team I faced had the Jets defense and didn't start them. And
Oh,
didn't
that's
start
gotta
them.
hurt.
The Jets finished with 21 points on his bench. So he would have the lead right now.
He would. He would have the lead.
He would
But
have the lead. But I mean,
another.
I placed him with the Seahawks defense, who finished with 20.
Oh man. All right. Wait. So before I go to another start of the week, the person who asked us a question, Vision, about James Conner and Hollywood, has this one. He says Jerry J is on waivers, so I pick him up.
Mm,
If Jerry Judy's on well, it depends on your wide receiver position. If you have guys who get more targets than him, then I say yes. Well, no to pick him up. But if you have you lost Hollywood, so I would say pick him up. If you lost Hollywood Brown. But to go back to the stars of the week, you know who else is a star? And we ragged on them about their defense? The Cardinals defense. They
mm,
got 15 points. I
mm,
can't complain.
mm,
15 points for a defense,
mm,
considering Dallas and Philly both gave me 6 and 7.
mm. But did they really do anything?
I
It's
mean,
because they got a defensive touchdown at the end on a
that
on,
that still counts.
yeah, but the guy missed his own punt. Like he whiffed on the punt. They didn't do anything. Outside of that, they would have not gotten any points.
Well, at the end of the day, did they get the points? Yep.
I mean, yeah, I do feel that, but I didn't feel like they did anything special.
Oh yeah, they didn't. In terms of like watching, I didn't see anything special, but to me, they get a star, and then I think we got to go to some wide receivers. I only have one star this week, and it's Jamar Chase.
Yeah, and it's kind of scary because this is kind of what he did last year, and the fact that he started off a little bit slow and then had a huge, huge game, and then just put it together for the rest of the season, which I think really could be the case. And the fact that Higgins was back this week, to add some more pressure to the defense. Yeah, Chase was phenomenal against the Saints yesterday, and that was another weird game that we had. Uh,
32 points.
yeah, that was another weird game that we had in the NFL. I'll give it another star I have. It's got to be both the Dolphins receivers. And we mentioned Hill. I mean, putting up 12 receptions, 177 yards after leaving last week's game in the boot. And, there being some questions about his availability for this week. So I definitely think he gets a star. And that's with the combination of Skyler and Teddy. And then you get Waddle as well putting up
17
points. So
points. No, what hurt him was that fumble.
yeah, the fumble did suck, and I mean, still puts up 17 with the fumble. And the thing is, like, th- that has to make you feel good as a fantasy owner because it's like, all right, I don't have to worry about how they'll perform with a backup. Like it eases your mind a little bit because when Tua first gets down, you're like, okay, what does that mean for the rest of my fantasy players? Like, how is that going to impact their season?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's definitely true. And I would say someone else who deserves a star outside of them. Um, I gotta go with I'm gonna go outside the box, and I'm gonna say a kicker. I'm gonna say a kicker. Brian Scope,
Yeah,
14 points.
yeah.
Can't be mad at that. 14 points for a kicker. That's huge in fantasy. If you could get a kicker to give you double digit points, I think they deserve to be a star.
Yeah, and that's a sneaky position where that could really swing a matchup for you. Because
Mhm.
usually, I mean, for me, I'll speak personally. Like I have Tyler Bass in a couple of leagues, and or Justin Tucker, and it's like okay, like just stash them and forget. And sometimes these guys do get outscored, and you're like, dude, I could have picked up a kicker that had 11 instead of 4, and now I'm
Yeah.
in a whole completely different ballgame.
Yeah. That's why, man, when the draft came and we had it, I wasted an early pick on Tucker for a reason. I was
Yeah,
like, I have to do this. Like, I
yeah, just
don't know
stash.
what kicker is gonna be better than Justin Tucker this year.
Yeah, 100%. And it's that's why you got to grind the waivers this week, especially if it's a team that you're like, all right, you know, are they really going to be able to score touchdowns? Like I can see them move the ball, but and if the kicker is halfway decent, can they get them a 50-yard field goal attempt? All right. and then we go from there. So you can end up with a lot of points from the kicking position.
Yep. That's probably it for my stars. Do you have any other stars this week?
The only other star I was gonna think about uh was Saquon, but I don't know if I want to give Saquon because he's just been so good, and I feel like this week, like yeah, he still was really good, but he did leave a little bit with the injury, so that had people like, whoa.
18. He finished with 18 points, which is like that's still great.
But it's just for me, it's just like that. That's the reason that they're winning in real life. So it's like I do want to shout him out.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good transition to go to correlate with bust of the week because the bust that I have for fantasy, bro, it's my starting quarterback Lamar. Like, bro, Lamar did not help me out whatsoever this week.
Yeah, he did not have a Lamar game. It was a weird week of football all around. It was a weird week of football just all around with normal guys. I mean, Josh Allen still gets you a ton of points for the quarterback position, but I mean, even Aaron Rodgers doesn't put up any points against the Jets. Brady, I don't even know how much Brady finished with, but it couldn't have been that much. I mean, Brady finishes with 13 in one of the leagues I'm in. Stafford finishes with 12 in one of the leagues I'm in. Hurts only finishes with 16. So you're looking at a lot of the top quarterbacks. Burrow did have a good game, and he got a rushing touchdown. So that definitely helped his cause. But, it was Mariota finished with 24. So
Mariota was a star.
it's like the random guys this week at quarterback were really – I mean, Fields had 18 in that game too.
Yeah, and that was going to even correlate to my Nets bust. The 49ers defense, man, that was a bust for the week because
yeah, but they were dealing with a lot of injuries.
Yeah, a lot of injuries, which did hurt their chances. But I want to go back to the Lamar part, bro. When I was watching that game, I was like saying, okay, all right, Lamar's playing the Giants. The Giants are not very good against the run, and you clearly see that with Kenyon Drake. And obviously, I'm pretty sure they have a spy for Lamar's, but it's like Lamar, man. There were certain plays where I was like, bro, what are you doing?
But that last interception he threw, that absolutely cannot happen. Like, that just did not happen.
He threw it right there, and credit to Julian Love, who made the interception. He got it, and then the fumble, Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah, and Kayvon Thibodeau's a beast, honestly.
Yeah, really fast off the edge. I got to give him credit for that. He's fast off the edge. I always question his motor because I don't know if football is top priority for him. But so far, it looks like it is. And, I mean, because I hate to say this, even for just the real life part outside of fantasy, bro, it felt like to me Daniel Jones outplayed Lamar. Because there was Lamar made the mistakes, whereas Daniel Jones didn't make the mistakes. Because that fumble before the half, I don't consider it because I was like, all right, I know you're going for a Hail Mary. That's just how I looked at it.
But was he I don't know, because I just feel like they don't ask Daniel Jones to do anything.
Yeah, they don't ask him to do much. And the little that they ask him to do, he was doing it. So I couldn't say anything.
But, am I supposed to give him credit for that?
I mean, he didn't turn over the football more than once. So I could say that's a big plus for him.
Yeah.
But it's also because I expect more from Lamar.
But it's just why can't the Ravens just beat anybody? Why can't they just
bro?
Why are they incapable of beating anybody?
Bro, I don't know what is wrong with the Ravens.
Bro,
they just can't hold the lead. And have you seen Lamar's fourth quarter stats?
Yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. I saw a stat that was in the games they've lost, they've trailed for 1 minute and 47 seconds.
That's it.
Like that. And that's against their former defensive coordinator. So, big bounce back spot for Wink Martindale in that spot. And somehow, some way, the Giants just continue to win.
Credit to them. I didn't think they would. I thought this week was a loss. I was like, all right, they're going to be 4-2. They're fine. They're still over 500, but they got the win.
5-1 going to the Jags next week. I honestly
like their chances.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out at this point. I mean, Dayball has to be coach of the year at this point.
Yeah. And you know who they play next? They play Seattle. So I'm like, I think they could probably go 7-1 after 8 games.
They could finish easy with 10 wins at this point. They just got to win 4 more games the rest of the year. I mean, 10 wins and you're definitely in the playoff conversation.
Yeah.
And I would have said you are absolutely insane if you think the Giants are going to be in the playoff conversation.
Yeah. I would have said I would give him like 2 years after like Brian Daboll like truly puts his fingerprints all over
And
the
they find a
team.
new quarterback.
Yeah, and find a new quarterback. But credit to them, Saquon has been doing great. The defense has played a lot better than what I thought they were.
Yeah, Saquon is 100% back.
And the receivers, considering Sterling Shepard's out for the year, Galladay, no idea what's happened to him. Kadarius Toney, no idea what's happened to him. And then Wan'Dale Robinson, who's essentially now their one.
Yeah, he scored a touchdown this week.
Played, and he actually did pretty well. But we'll see. The Giants have the rest of the schedule. They right now it looks like Daboll will be coach of the year. But let's continue back to bust of the week. And man, if I had to pick another bust of the week. I would have to say I know there was one defense that gave like a negative. I just forgot which one. There was one that gave a negative. Oh, the Jaguars.
Matt Ryan carved them up.
After doing what they did to the Colts before, they were smacked across the face. The Jaguars ended up with -4 points.
Yeah, it was all Matt Ryan. And after how terrible he looked at that Thursday night game, where we were saying he was cooked, I will repeat this. I believe Matt Ryan was the best statistical performer out of all the winning quarterbacks that we had yesterday, which is crazy to think just after that Denver-Indianapolis game, you could do that. So it's honestly mind-blowing. And it's like Jacksonville goes from a team where like, were we sleeping on Jacksonville? And then, no.
I guess it's the same old Jaguars.
Yeah, same old Jaguars. And even Trevor Lawrence he wasn't bad at all.
He didn't have a bad game.
Yeah, he wasn't the reason that they lost. The defense just, like you said, it is a good bust. The defense just really couldn't stop anything that the Colts were doing. And Ryan just got to a point where he's like, all right, if Pittman is open, I'm just going to throw it to him. And on the 1 out of every 3 times you cover Pittman, I'm just going to throw over to Pierce. And like, that's all I'm doing. I don't care about anything else. Jonathan Taylor's not here. And that's got to hurt for people so bad. I don't want to call him a bust for not being able to be on the field, but the guy that was drafted first overall to not really be having the impact.
Yep. You got any other busts of the week for fantasy?
So I was trying to think. The only person that I really had that I started that was a bust. I could give it to myself because in our league I just cannot figure out what to do with my flex, and I keep bouncing between James Robinson and Tyler Lockett. So Lockett goes 3.7 points after I believe putting up like 20 last week. So 27 for me last week on my bench when I started James Robinson. James Robinson on the bench, 6.4. And it's just, I just haven't been able to figure out my flex in that position. But I can't, Goddard is a guy that I was really high on, and he had
a bad game.
Yeah, he didn't really do anything in the Sunday night game. So you could potentially call him a bust in that one. But
Edwards-Helaire.
Oh, Edwards-Helaire. Dude, I'm trying to sell him in most of my leagues. I think it's over for him. And what do they only have one game before the bye left now, the Chiefs?
Right now the Chiefs, they play San Francisco.
I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing a lot more Pacheco after the bye week.
If you want to sell CEH, what's your price?
Honestly, not that much.
I'll take them.
I told you about the trade in the other league where I traded.
For anyone that doesn't know, Myles, I'll just read the players in detail, and then Myles could give you the bigger background on it. So Myles is and it's your trade, right?
Yeah, I sent it over.
All right, so Myles is trading away Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Dallas Goedert, and he's getting Jalen Waddle and Kareem Hunt. From when I saw it, I was like, okay, obviously the best player in this deal in like retrospect is Jalen Waddle. But also the worst player in this deal is Kareem Hunt.
Thank you.
And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Kareem Hunt, I feel like they negate.
Yeah.
Dallas Goedert, I was like, depending on the guy's tight end situation, I feel like maybe this works. And if he has good enough receivers, hey, that's a fair trade. So I thought it was a fair trade.
Okay. So let me give some more context. So I've been trying to get a receiver all week in this league. My 2 receivers that I have in this league are T. Higgins and Deontay Johnson. which is I don't know what I was doing on draft night. So I have T. Higgins and Deontay. That's been my two receivers locked in all year. The only two I have on the bench because I realized I didn't have a backup receiver for these guys is Tyler Boyd, which I never want to start, and Richie James, who is currently a free agent. Like he is not making it past another week on my roster. So that's why I offered the trade. And I was offering trades for everybody. I offered Pollard for Ayuk, which I don't think is going to happen after he gets 2 touchdowns, but whatever. The only problem is the kid that I traded with, his roster is really funky now. So he has a roster with names, they're just not putting up the points. So he's 1-4 in our league. I'm 2-3. So he has
Okay.
Kyler, Aaron Jones, Kareem Hunt, Justin Jefferson, Waddle, Zach Ertz, Taysom Hill, Patriots defense, and the Bucks kicker.
He could put Dallas Goedert or Zach Ertz at the flex now.
Yeah, exactly. Because he already was putting Taysom at the flex, and he didn't get a reception this game. He had a couple passing yards, 39 rushing yards, but it's like, all right, how long does that last for? So, and his bench, he's got a lot of guys that are injured, and he's got a lot of guys that are going to take something to happen to pop. So he's got Akers on the bench, which that's no longer a
He's
thing.
not playing.
Gallup, who is still working his way back from the injury. Shepard, who's out. Sterling Shepard. I don't even know why he's still rostered. Carson Wentz, who, while we were recording this, just got announced that he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks, and that Taylor Heineke is going to be the starting quarterback again. So the
Terry McLaurin.
Commanders might be back, baby.
He might be back.
And he's got Pickens on his bench. So it's like, I think it's a fair trade. A couple people in the league thought it wasn't the most fair trade, but I mean, I thought it was a good way for you to break it down. So if we look at it, Waddle's the best player and Hill and Hunt is the worst player in that trade. That means the two that I'm trading away are the second and third best player in that trade.
Yeah.
So even though I'm getting the first, I'm giving up the second and third best players in that trade. So it is what it is. But yeah, a couple people in the league thought it should be vetoed. I just personally need a receiver so I can send Deontay Johnson to the moon, because it looks like, especially Claypool after this week, and I think Pickens is already really good. It might be a passing of the guard in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but that is something. And for anyone that doesn't know, I even made a trade today in the league I'm in with Myles. I thought this is a fair trade.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm trading away Mike Evans and Taysom Hill, and I'm going to get Hayden Hurst and Chris Godwin. I generally thought this was like a fair swap.
I thought so too. I mean, Hayden's been coming on strong as of late too.
I mean, he didn't have the best of games yesterday, so I was like, all right, Hayden Hurst and Godwin. I feel him and Mike Evans are the same in terms of fantasy value. If you ask me in real life who I want, I'm gonna take Evans. Then
Brady loves the slot. And if Godwin is like finally 100% healthy, I could really see him coming on strong. And in that first year, I mean, Evans still put up really good numbers, but Godwin was like the go-to, like if in case everything goes wrong, like I know where Godwin is.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll see. There's usually those weeks where it's either one or the other that goes off. So I wasn't too mad about that, because I did ask Ed. I was like, "Hey, do you feel like you want to trade Chris Godwin?" So he told me, he was like, all right, who are you thinking? And then I was like, I'll give you Evans. And then we went back and forth. So I was glad about that, because I am trying to make some trades. I did ask JP for this trade. You're playing JP, right?
This week? Yeah.
Wait, I'm just making sure. Yeah, I even asked JP, I was like, yo, like, what's the price for Josh Jacobs? Because he has him on his bench and he has good running backs.
He does have super solid running backs.
Like, he has McCaffrey, he has Barkley, then he has Brian Robinson, who's, I believe, is going to remain the starter throughout the rest of the year. So Josh Jacobs is on his bench.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, what's for Josh Jacobs? Because I'm like, I'm willing to do a swap. But he says he wants receivers. So I'm like, oh, man, I don't know what to do. Because I'm down to trade AJ for something. Like, if I want my team to get if you give me Kenneth Walker and George Kittle, I'll give you AJ and a running back.
Chill. I'll give you Robinson, Connor, and Kittle. I'll give you Robinson, Connor, Kittle, and Akers.
Why would I want James Conner?
And Akers. What about Akers? I can't believe he's going to be smell you later.
Yeah.
And I mean, I honestly thought he was better than Henderson the entire way, but
Yeah. The playoff run, he showed it. He was the only one touching the football.
and I don't know if you saw any of that game yesterday, but they had this guy in there with long sleeves that looked like a big fatty, and they signed him from the practice squad. And I was in my head,
okay.
I was like, this is how the mighty have fallen. I can't believe this is a team that won the Super Bowl last year, and they lost Noteboom, their left tackle. Oof. And now the Seahawks are tied for first in that division.
Yeah, it's not the prettiest time for them. Not the prettiest time.
Yeah, and
I mean,
I had a pretty good week fantasy. I won the league that we're in. I won the league with my boys. E2G, we're pending.
Almost. We just need the projections. If they say it's right, we come out with a W.
And then I'm pending in the other league that I'm 5-0 in. This would be the first time I could potentially go undefeated across the leagues, which is very hard to do because there's so many damn leagues and just football is so random. But yeah. I want to read the passing yards that each starting quarterback had this week. Each winning quarterback had this week because it's honestly like this was
the week of the underdogs.
And it's one of the weirdest weeks that we've had in recent memory. Because I mean, the Jets game was a stunner. I mean, the fact that Trubisky comes in for Pickett and they just sat on the ball.
On the Bucs defense.
Yeah, they literally did the Brady thing where they're not even going to give you a chance to get the ball back. And I mean, even that Bills Chiefs game, I didn't think that Mahomes necessarily played that well. I thought it was cool to see these two teams, and I mean, I think clearly the Bills are the best team that we have in the NFL, and I still didn't even think they played that well.
I got to give more credit to both defenses because I thought both defenses played much better than what everyone anticipated. Because I was like, all right, for Mahomes to do that, your defensive scheme had to be X, Y, and Z, which they did. Yeah. And then for the Bills, I was like, hey, to hold – I mean, the worst part, we're saying these teams had bad games, but each offense had over 400 yards of offense. So I was like, all right, like that just shows the standard of what we have.
Yeah. So let me read you the starting quarterback. So number one, Matt Ryan, 389 yards.
Yeah.
Then we get Josh Allen, 329. Bailey Zappi, 309. Matthew Stafford, 253. Then the rest of the quarterbacks all took L's, right? Then the next winning quarterback, Geno Smith, 197. Kirk Cousins, 175. Daniel Jones wins a game, 173. Then we got Trevor Lawrence and Andy Dalton, who both lost. Then we go 5 quarterbacks in a row that got a W. Jalen Hurts, 155 yards.
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky, 144 yards.
Well, Mitchell came in as a
but he was actually pretty good. 9 of 12, 144 is actually pretty good as in relief. Marcus Mariota, 13 of 14, 129 yards. Zach Wilson, 10 of 18, 110 yards. Carson Wentz, 12 of 22 for 99 yards.
Yeah.
Those are all winning quarterbacks this week.
Yeah, so it's definitely something to
such an odd week of football. Such an odd week.
I mean, we'll see this week because this week we're gonna have some games, and like you said, it's another week that some big teams are on the bye. The Eagles and Vikings are definitely the top 2 in terms of bye weeks.
It's Bills, Rams, Vikings, Eagles.
Yeah, so for anyone who's got a Bills player, you might want to see what you can get, and then Rams Cooper Cup owners, Myles, you got to find it.
Those are big names. That means Diggs,
Jefferson,
and Jefferson are all out. And then A.J. Brown and Devontae. Yep. And Gabe Davis has been good for people. Josh Allen, that's been good for people. Hurts, that's been really big for people. So that's what I mean. There might be now because, I mean, look at the teams that are playing. The Bears, the Pats, the Steelers, the Dolphins, the 49ers, the Chiefs. I mean, the Seahawks, the Chargers, the Texans. Like, you're going to have some guys on there that you might have never thought would ever make your roster.
For anyone that might be looking for a player to pick up Braxton Berrios. They're going to play the Broncos this week.
And the Broncos are hot garbage, man.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I think that's the bit of news we'll give you guys for the NFL this week. But we also do want to remind everyone basketball does start this week.
yeah,
So we are pretty excited, me and Miles. We got our Miami Heat playing this year. I mean, obviously, we expressed our
yeah. He
uh,
kicked off on Wednesday. I believe the season starts tomorrow.
yep, starts tomorrow. Warriors, Lakers, I believe.
Yeah, and I think it's Sixers, Celtics.
Yeah, Sixers, Celtics. So we're looking forward to it. Um, Tell me one storyline you might be looking forward to in terms of basketball.
So I got two, both in the Western Conference. How good are the Clippers going to be? Because I think they have a lot of talent on that roster, and I want to see Paul George and Kawhi finally healthy after all these years and ready to start a season. And I just want to see the Denver Nuggets. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago offline, but I mean, I love that
They
additions
have
that
a
they
good
made.
team. They're just never healthy.
Yeah, I love the additions that they made. I want to see Jamal back on the court. I want to see if Michael Porter Jr. can have any type of health in him. His health attribute has been turned down to zero for most of his life. I would love to see him play a full basketball game, and Jokic is just unbelievable good.
That's good. The one thing I want to look at, I want to see Ben Simmons, how he gels with this Sixers team. From what I saw in the preseason, I like the ball movement that the Nets have now with Simmons on the floor. I really like their ball movement. And they push the pace now a lot more. They're actually running, trying to get those fast break points. So I'm really excited. And plus, I mean, for anyone who listened to us before on Spotify, me and Miles have gone back and forth and like told everyone, like, we know Ben is such a good player. It's just obviously the guy can't shoot. But you cannot say he's bad at everything else. You cannot say that. Like,
I'm excited for him just to be back on a basketball court since passing up that dunk against Atlanta. Like that's crazy that it's been that long.
yeah. At least now he's mentally healthy, so that's a good part. And then his back, obviously, I didn't know what happened with his back last year. But now we'll see him on the court, and who knows if because if he's healthy and Katie and Kyrie, all of them gel, I don't know how they don't win.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that for the last 2 years. I didn't know how they didn't win with James Harden as well.
That one just boggles me more because you had James who was so dominant on offense.
In Katie and Kyrie, like I don't get it. I don't get it.
But we'll see. And who knows, maybe this year, what if maybe the Bucks come back after picking up Joe Ingles? The
Yeah,
Celtics, how do they look without Ime Udoka at head coach? How do they look?
yeah. How do the Sixers look now that Harden and Embiid will start the season on the same team
With
together?
Tucker?
They had a full training camp. I like their moves that they made in the offseason. So there are a lot of interesting storylines to follow throughout this NBA season. What do the Lakers look like? I mean, that might just be comedy. And now
I don't
Russ,
know. That would be a story every day. It's like, is Russ buying in? Is
well,
he in
Russ,
or
they
not?
took him off the bench in that last preseason game and mysteriously left the game with
Injury.
hamstring injury. And as Richard Jefferson tweeted out, hamstring injuries can take a long time to figure out. Not get healthy from, just figure out. So I think that'll be an interesting. And there's just a lot of talent throughout the league. I mean, me and you were talking about there's some young guys that we want to see, and I don't even. Two of those games are Detroit and Orlando, two teams that might not even combine to win 50 games. So I mean, I'm excited to see pretty much every team in the NBA. There's a storyline to follow. Probably still the least exciting one is the Thunder, just because they lost Chet.
Yeah.
The Jazz are pretty bad, but they got Young Bull out there, so he's going to be out there getting buckets for them after they trade all their veterans.
At least with OKC, we have Shea. So at least
Yeah,
Shea's gonna play good. I mean, he should be an all-star, but I just know with the team
you
he's
get
on.
Shea for the first half until they start tanking again.
Yeah. I would just tell him like, oh my god, if you guys are gonna do this to Shea, at least trade him. Like, do him a favor.
Yeah, just collect even more first rounders.
Yeah, collective, I don't know, 100 first-round picks, and next thing you know, you trade them all, and you get Victor
Just trying to
Wembanyama.
have a future first rounder owed to you by every single team in the league.
Yeah. All first-round picks are to the OKC Thunder.
OKC.
It's like, all right, with the first 32 picks in the NBA draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select every prospect.
That's too funny.
And then they'll be like, man,
we're just gonna list off all the players that the Thunder have drafted from pick 1 to 32.
yeah. And that's, bro, their summer league It's gonna be crazy.
They're gonna have to cut people from their summer league team just to make them fit.
Yeah. Oh my god. But we're definitely looking forward to it, guys. And we will be back for you on Friday. We're gonna talk about some bets of the week to guys for you to look forward to, some games to watch, and we'll even give you guys a fantasy update considering what happens on the Thursday night game if we have any guys playing. In the E2G league, we do. We have the Saints quarterback tandem performing. So we'll talk to you guys on how they perform. But until next time, guys, we will see you on Friday.
Peace.